Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Lekon Onobanjo. Here are stories making headlines beyond the continent. The Pope experienced an isolated breathing crisis while being treated in hospital, according to Vatican sources. They reported that after a morning of respiratory physiotherapy and prayer, the Holy Father suffered a bronchospasm, which led to an episode of vomiting and inhalation, causing a sudden deterioration in his respiratory condition. The situation has raised concerns, though the exact details of his current health remain under close observation by medical staff. And away from that, to the U.S.-Ukraine deal. In U.S., Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Washington, D.C. for a crucial meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump. In an intense meeting at the White House, Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky clashed over the ongoing conflict with Russia. Trump, visibly frustrated, told Zelensky, "Make a deal or we are out." That's in a quote anyway, urging him to be thankful for U.S. support and accusing him of gambling with World War III. Zelensky, however, stood firm, insisting that there should be no compromises with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump countered, stating that Ukraine would need to make concessions to reach a peace deal with Russia. The exchange highlighted deep differences in their approach to ending the war.
Okay, what did they break it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me.
Well, for more on this, I'm being joined by our international correspondent, Afua Hagan. Afua, we just saw Donald Trump in a fiery expression there in that particular deal. But then let's have the latest on the press conference and, of course, what Trump and Zelensky probably have eventually agreed to.
Well, that was probably one of the quieter moments from the meeting in the Oval Office that we saw there. The press conference has been cancelled because the exchange in the Oval Office, 50 minutes, descended into a shouting match in which it started with President Trump saying that he's in the middle, he's for both Ukraine and Russia. Then President Zelensky was called disrespectful by Vice President J.D. Vance, saying that he had never thanked America or the American people for their help during the war. Also saying that he doesn't have a clue what's going on in his country. Zelensky asked J.D. Vance if he knew what was going on in Ukraine, if he had visited. J.D. Vance saying, "I've watched it on TV, essentially, so therefore I am the knowledge." Trump saying to Zelensky that he is gambling with World War III, you're gambling with millions of lives. And Zelensky replying that at the moment, without a deal, America is going to feel it. It's going to feel if the problem is not being solved. That didn't go down well with Trump at all, saying, don't tell us what we're going to feel. And also saying to President Zelensky, you're not in a very good position. You don't have any cards to play. Vance, Trump, and Zelensky all talking over each other. It descended into a shouting match. You had pictures of the Ukrainian ambassador with her head in her hands. And so therefore the press conference, which was supposed to happen, has been cancelled. Trump put out this statement that we just saw there on Truth Social saying, I had a very meaningful meeting today in the White House. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversation under such fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion. And I've determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. And he said, I don't want advantage, I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America and its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace. So at this point, President Zelensky has left the White House. We know that he stayed behind for sort of half an hour after that meeting descended into chaos, but the press conference has been cancelled, and we don't think any deal has been signed.
So that definitely would mean that the minerals deal from which U.S. is meant to benefit from has also been put on hold.
Yes, we think that at this point in time, there is no deal. And you know, Trump is a deal maker. This is what he wants. He wants a deal that means that America gets access to these rare minerals, things like lithium, as well as oil and coal and gas and things like that. There was talk of it all being put into a deposit that America could take from as well, and other countries, Russia and Ukraine, could take from. And essentially, they can make back the money that they have given to Ukraine to fight the war. But that deal doesn't look like it has been signed at the moment.
To put this on a balance, Afua, what kind of deal is Trump expecting Zelensky to come up with that will not be in favor of Putin, but then will bring peace?
There is no real deal that we can say that Trump wants. Trump says that he wants peace, but he also says that he's in the middle, he's on the side of Ukraine, he's on the side of Russia as well. He wants a deal that's going to be advantageous to America and brings America money and goes along with his Make America Great Again mantra. But actually the real question is, what does this mean for the war going forward? Is the United States still going to be sending weapons, sending funding for the war? That looks like that's in danger. That looks like that is now precarious. And that essentially means that more Ukrainian lives will be lost if the Ukraine cannot defend itself. Where we are now in the immediacy, you are going to have some very, very worried people back in Ukraine wondering what this means for them over the next few weeks and months. President Zelensky will be thinking that himself also as he departs Washington and heads to London for a conference. Does he now look to Europe and the UK to continue funding this war? When it comes to what kind of deal Trump wants, I don't think that's actually the question that we should be asking at this point. Trump wants a deal that's going to make him money. He's a deal maker. That's really easy. But what happens to people now in the war? What happens now? And how does Russia get an advantage here? Because now they feel like this is a bit of a win. It's a bit of a tick for them that you've had, this hugely heated diplomatic spat between Trump and Zelensky in HD, in 4K, in front of the world's eyes. They will now have a bit of an advantage. And the noise, the mood music from Russia is that they are equally surprised that this has happened. But like I said, it does give them an advantage as well. So the question now is what happens to Ukraine from here on in?
And this probably would mean that the NATO membership that Zelensky is asking for might never materialize.
Yes, it could mean that, but actually, at this point, it's probably more important than ever that NATO membership does materialize for the Ukraine, because they need as much protection as they can possibly get. But they are getting further and further away from that membership with each passing day of this Trump government.
All right, thank you so much, Afua Hagan, for sharing these information with us. Away from that, Hollywood is mourning the loss of legendary actor Gene Hackman. The Oscar-winning star and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, were found dead inside their New Mexico home on Wednesday. along with their dog, under what authorities are calling suspicious circumstances. While the exact cause of death remains unknown, officials say there are no signs of foul play or immediate environmental hazards. From News Central, Afua Hagan again has more in this report.
Authorities responded to a 911 call from a maintenance worker who had not been able to reach the couple for 2 weeks. According to the emergency call, the caller reported seeing two unresponsive bodies through a window. When deputies arrived, they discovered 95-year-old Hackman near the kitchen, his body showing signs of decomposition. His wife, 30 years his junior, was found in a bathroom next to an overturned prescription pill bottle. Their German Shepherd was also found dead, while two other dogs were alive on the property.
All I can say is they have been deceased for quite a while. You know, that's a determination that's better suited for OMI and the experts, but it sounds like they had been deceased for a while, and I don't want to take a guess in reference to how long that was.
The couple's bodies were found in separate rooms in their house, with scattered pills found next to Arakawa, according to police. They said they cannot rule out foul play.
We're not ruling it out. What I did state was there was no obvious sign or indication of foul play. There was no immediate sign of foul play. Haven't ruled that out yet. This is an investigation, so we're keeping everything on the table. You know, I think the autopsy is going to tell us a lot, and any evidence that we collect, but I haven't ruled any of that out yet.
Hackman, known for iconic roles in The French Connection, Unforgiven and Hoosiers, had stepped away from Hollywood nearly 2 decades ago. His unexpected passing comes just days before the Academy Awards, where sources say he will be honoured in the ceremony. The details are not yet locked in, but one possible scenario is editing the In Memoriam montage to include Hackman's contributions to cinema. Another possibility is a scripted mention of Hackman's passing on stage, perhaps by host Conan O'Brien or another entertainer who would pay tribute to the acting legend. In the meantime, authorities continue their investigation into the circumstances surrounding the couple's deaths. For News Central, I'm Afua Hagan.
Let's now head to Europe, where UK International Development Minister Annelies Dodds has resigned on Friday over cuts to overseas aid, with Dodds criticizing Prime Minister Keir Starmer's decision to reduce the aid budgets to fund increased defense spending. Dodds, in a letter posted on X, warned that the cuts, which lowered the overseas development budget from 0.5% to 0.3% of the UK's gross national income, would deprive vulnerable communities of vital food, healthcare and aid. She expressed concerns about the impact on global programs, including support for Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, climate change efforts and vaccination campaigns. Dodds is the 4th minister to resign since Starmer's election victory last year. France President Emmanuel Macron warned on Friday that EU would impose reciprocal tariffs on US steel and aluminium if US President Donald Trump proceeds with his threatened 25% duties on European imports. Speaking during a state visit to Portugal, Macron emphasized that Europe must protect itself and respond accordingly. He said if the US tariffs are confirmed, Europeans will respond with similar measures, highlighting the EU's commitment to defending its interests in the face of potential trade disruptions. The statement underscores ongoing tensions in international trade relations between the US and Europe.
Je pense qu'il y a une erreur de principe et qu'il y a une erreur de tempo. Bon, ensuite, une fois qu'on a dit ça, il y a des premiers tarifs qui ont été mis, l'Atos insu, pas que sur les Européens, sur l'aluminium et l'acier. S'ils sont confirmés, les Européens répondront. Et donc il y aura des tarifs réciproques, parce qu'il faut qu'on se protège, qu'on se défende. Et si, début avril, comme cela a été annoncé, des tarifs étaient mis sur les produits européens, à cette hauteur-là, les Européens auront à répondre, parce que nous n'avons pas à répondre, nous n'avons pas en quelque sorte à être faibles face à ces mesures.
In the meantime, President Emmanuel Macron has called for Europeans to reject what he called a happy vassalization to the United States. He said this during a 2-day state visit to Portugal, where he urged Europe to remain united with the US despite geopolitical uncertainties and potential disruptions caused by shifting US policies, including tariffs. While acknowledging the need for a balance between maintaining close ties with the U.S., he also stressed facing the reality of economic and political challenges. Macron further emphasized Europe's need to defend its principles and future ambitions. He highlighted the importance of investing in technological solutions and embracing risks to secure Europe's economic sovereignty and global standing.
Et donc au moment où les États-Unis sont dans un grand changement, qu'est-ce qu'on doit faire? On doit les garder près de nous, parce que je pense qu'il faut pas, on n'a pas besoin de division, mais on va devoir vivre avec de l'incertitude. C'est ça la réalité. Parce que les choix que les Américains sont en train de faire, en tout cas cette administration, elle va produire de l'incertitude géopolitique, mais aussi économique. On a tous entendu ce qui allait se passer sur les tarifs. Et donc, qu'est-ce qu'on doit faire face à l'incertitude? Agir. Et donc, je pense que la réponse, elle n'est pas dans une soumission. Moi, je ne suis pas pour la vassalisation heureuse. Il y a un choix, je vois plein de gens dans notre Europe dire on va devoir être gentil avec les Américains, ça va passer, il faut courber les chines, il faut être poli, mais il faut défendre ce que nous sommes. Et notre avenir n'est pas dans la vassalisation heureuse, il est dans la défense respectueuse de nos principes, de notre histoire, mais dans une volonté ambitieuse d'aller plus loin.
In southeastern Europe, we tell you that demonstrators have gathered in front of the Greek parliament on Friday, marking the second anniversary of the nation's deadliest rail disaster, which claimed the lives of 57 people in 2023. With public anger intensifying, protests are being organized in cities across Greece and internationally, with an aim to demand justice for the victims and accountability from those responsible. Schools, public services, trains, ferries, and most flights are expected to be disrupted. The fatal collision occurred on February 28, 2023, when a train traveling from Athens to Thessalonica collided with a freight train near Larissa, claiming lives of dozens. And I'll go on a short break. When we return, at least 41 trapped after avalanche in Indian Himalayas happened. We'll tell you more when we return. Don't go away. On Beyond the Continent, we tell you that violence erupted in Athens on Friday as a massive demonstration marked the second anniversary of Greece's deadliest rail tragedy. Nearly 200,000 people gathered demanding justice for the 57 victims of the February 28, 2023 crash. Tensions quickly escalated as firebomb-wielding youths clashed with riot police outside the parliament. The disaster, which saw a passenger train from Athens to Thessalonica collide with a freight train near Larissa, killed dozens and injured hundreds. The demonstration, aimed at honoring the victims and calling for accountability, turned chaotic, with protesters facing off against authorities. As smoke filled the streets, the emotional outcry underscored the nation's growing frustration over unresolved issues and safety concerns in Greece's rail system. Cyclone Grant barreled across La Réunion Island on Friday, killing at least 2 people as fierce winds left destruction across the French Indian Ocean territory, according to authorities. With winds reaching 230 kilometers per hour, the cyclone wreaked havoc across the French Indian Ocean territory, impacting its 900,000 residents. Earlier, the storm forced the closure of the main airport to neighboring Mauritius. The island saw severe destruction, including uprooted trees, torn roofs, and flooded homes. Power outages affected 145,000 people, while 82,000 faced a lack of drinking water. Nearly 40,000 were left without internet access. A purple alert was issued, confining everyone, including law enforcement, to their homes for several hours. As the cyclone moved southward, authorities eased restrictions for emergency services but kept the lockdown in place for the public. While the most violent weather subsided, heavy rain and winds continued.
De la lettre rouge, on a dû renforcer l'effectif de la caserne. Hein. C'est ce qu'on appelle un niveau 3 pour nous, c'est-à-dire qu'on a un nombre d'effectifs à avoir au niveau de la caserne. Donc pour le CIS de Saint-Denis, c'est 36 personnels qui doivent être réunis. Donc les 36 personnels sont rentrés et ils sont en caserne. Donc ils étaient en caserne hier soir depuis 19h. Donc dans le cadre de l'alerte rouge, comme vous le savez, la population ne peut plus se déplacer, elle est confinée. Les pompiers peuvent toujours assurer leur mission de secours. Et donc durant cette nuit, on a dû assurer à peu près une quinzaine de missions, principalement qui concernent des opérations courantes. Pas d'intervention liée au cyclone. Une seule évacuation de personnes au niveau d'un secteur proche d'une rivière, mais sinon voilà, aucune intervention réellement liée à l'événement météorologique.
Let's now take you to Asia, where at least 41 people remain trapped after an avalanche struck the Indian Himalayas in Uttarakhand's Shamoli region. The incident occurred near a highway where workers were engaged in road construction. Local police reported that 57 workers were initially buried under snow, with 16 rescued so far. 5 of the survivors are in serious conditions and have been taken to a military facility for treatment. The Indian Army, along with national and state disaster response forces, is leading the rescue efforts. However, adverse weather conditions, including rainfall, have slowed progress. Local officials hope to speed up the operation once the weather improves. Still in Asia, a suicide attack at the Dar-ul-Uloom Haqqaniya religious school, also known as the University of Jihad in Pakistan, killed 4 people on Friday. Among the victims was Hamid-ul-Haq Haqqani, the head of the school, located in Akora Katak near Peshawar. The attack occurred after Friday prayers when people had gathered to greet Haqqani. Police suspect the bomber targeted Haqqani, the leader of a right-wing Islamist party and the son of Sami-ul-Haq Haqqani, who was assassinated in 2018 and was known as the father of the Taliban. The school, home to around 4,000 students, has gained notoriety for producing Taliban fighters and its role in training key insurgents leaders. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, though the Islamic State, a rival to the Taliban, has notably carried out attacks on the Taliban in previous times. And that's all on Beyond the Continent. Don't forget to watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.